John Lusk of Lusk Archery Adventures, serious testing for successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another broadhead that came out recently. I've been really intrigued about this one, and it's by Ozcut Broadheads. They're a new company, relatively new, outside of Australia, and this is the Hurricane. Okay, I have a passion for single bevel heads. I shoot a lot of double bevels too. I love them as well. Actually, I kind of go, what head do I not like? Okay, I like all different kinds of heads. But I love it when they've come out with a single bevel 3-blade head. Now, I've seen some other single bevel multi-blade heads that kind of had some other design flaws in my mind, so they didn't really give the full benefit of the single bevel. I'm intrigued by this one because there's a lot I like about it. It's like one-piece, solid construction, made out of steel, high-carbon steel. It's machined out of a solid chunk. The blades are really thick, and for a single bevel to be of a benefit, they got to be thick like that. There's a nice tanto tip, so it's a really good, durable tip. And the back of the blades are sharpened, so if it doesn't go all the way through, that head is going to stay in there doing some cutting, and it makes it easier to pull them out of your target a little bit easier, a little bit more. So there's a lot about this that I really like, and so I'm going to be doing some testing. I'm going to test it through my regular of MDF. I have a couple different layers of MDF with a rubber foam mat in the front. I'm going to be shooting it at long distance. I'm going to shoot it through some steel. I'm going to shoot it into a cinder block, and I'm going to shoot it into some gel to see if I can see how well it's rotating into that. And so we'll see how the head holds up, how it penetrates, and how it does in this testing. Oh, I should note that the cutting diameter on these is 1 1/16 inches. 1 1/16 inches. The entrance into this foam mat, you can see you get a little bit of rotation from the Hurricane, as evidenced by that S cut right there. Here you can see the penetration through the first board right there, and then through the second board it bulged out the back. It's the one that's not covered in tape right there. Right there. The head did not protrude, but it did bulge out the back. Upon inspection of the head, after going through 2 layers of MDF, you can see that there's no signs of wear whatsoever. The edges maintain very well, and they still shave nail. Now we're going to shoot it into the steel plate, followed by a layer of MDF behind it. There's the hole in the steel plate. Made a nice, good triangular hole, and you can see again the offset blades making that kind of extra S cut. See the head after it went through the steel plate, the edge got quite a bit nicked up and dulled up. You can see it there on the edges and the bottom edges. I rotated around. You can see a little bit of edge chatter there. Overall, it did well, and the structural integrity of the head was fantastic. This has now gone through 3 layers of MDF and 1 layer of steel plate there. But the edge did get more dinged up than I would have expected, to be honest. Because it's a solid machined broadhead, I'm going to go ahead and shoot it into this concrete block. Not many heads have held up really well through this, but a number of them have. I've had the Bishop held up super well, the Iron Wills held up super well, the Tooth of the Arrow held up super well, the Exodus held up super well, and the ATAC held up quite well also. Those are the only ones I can remember right off the top of my head. Let's see how the Ozcut does. Here's the chunk that it took out of the concrete block. Not as big as some of the other broadheads that I've shot, but it did penetrate and took a chunk out of it. Just the head after it went into the concrete block, and you can see it got mangled quite a bit. I mean, it is hitting concrete. So I understand that. We're not hunting concrete. I understand that. But I was testing it to see its overall durability, and it stayed in one piece, which was cool. So if this did go into an animal like that, it would stay in there still cutting away. But it did get mangled beyond repair going into the concrete. I'm curious to see how the rotation of this Hurricane does in a ballistic gel. So I'm going to shoot it into this ballistic gel. I've got some MDF behind it, and I'm going to compare it to a single bevel 2-blade head, the Bishop scientific method, to see how it rotates in the same medium. And now, just for penetration purposes, I'm going to compare it to the Exodus in the same gel medium. Here you can see the penetration difference between these three heads as they all go through the gel and then stop. You see at the top, you see the Exodus that came in third, and then you see the Ozcut Hurricane came in first, right below that, and then you see the Bishop Scientific Method 2-blade right below that. Now you can see the wound channel of the Ozcut in the middle there, and you can see those lighter areas right here and here. That's where the blades are rotating around and catching the light. So you can see that, you know, there's 3 blades, so the blades are rotating, changing the position. You can see a blade circle around there, and then another blade circle around there. So it looks like it made almost one full rotation there, like you see 2 of the blades come all the way around. So 3 would have been a full rotation. So it looks like almost one full rotation. And with the 2-blade scientific method, it rotates incredibly well. Also, it's a little more difficult to tell, especially through this camera, but it rotated, it looks like about the same rate of rotation, about 3/4 of the way around through this chunk of gel. This is the second layer of MDF. The Hurricane went through the first layer and then bolts out of the back of the second layer, and this is where it went into that second layer. And it doesn't have the biggest cutting diameter, but it does make a really cool cut. You see, it's not just a typical 3-blade cut. You get a good glimpse of that S rotation and that weird angle that it's cutting at. You can imagine what that would be doing to tissue in there. So there you have it, the Ozcut Hurricane. This is a winner, okay? This is a good head. There's a lot I really like about it. It flies really well. And they say the single bevel design, you know, helps to get a good rotation to it. It speeds up the rotation. And I don't know about that. I can't quantify the rotation, but I can tell you, I shoot a lot of fixed blade heads at long range. And man, this one was really easy to pop balloons with. It was like automatic. I mean, you could just kind of feel which ones are touchy, which ones take a little more focus and so forth. I'd say this is amongst the very best shooting long-range fixed blade heads that I've ever shot. Like, I'm trying to think which ones have been better. I can't think of any that fly better than this. This is right up there, like with the ATAC. It's just really well. That 1 1/16 inch diameter cut is what allows it to have a really low profile in flight, combined with that single bevel, gives it more rotation, and it really works. It flies super well. Penetration, it penetrates really well. You can see through all those mediums. Oh, and it rotated really well through the gel. You could see that S cut in the steel and see it starting in the wood as well. There's 2 things about this head that I think they could have done differently, though it's already a winner. It's a great head. But what could have made it like even better is, one, if they used a higher quality steel. Not that this is bad, okay? It's a good machined head out of a solid chunk of carbon steel. Okay, that's good. But when you're using a single bevel, the rotational force and the pressure that puts on that one blade angle, it's intense. And that's where you see a lot of single bevels that use inferior steel. And by inferior, I don't mean crummy, but I mean not premium steel. They experience edge chatter right there. And so this one indeed does. Like, not initially, but after you shoot it a few times, you can see, whoa, it got a lot more dinged, just little dings, but a lot more dinged than the like the Exodus or something, a double bevel, and then the Bishop single bevel 2-blade, because that just uses such a superior steel. Along with that, it's not super easy to find that bevel to sharpen it just right. The steel's not hard to sharpen, but to get that bevel just right to sharpen it is not super easy. Then I wish it was a larger cutting diameter. Okay, it penetrates really well. If that's your primary goal, this is really a good one. It penetrates well and it gets a good internal damage. Okay, so there's a lot like that I like, but 1 1/16 inch, that helps it fly well, but your entrance and exit wound, you're not really opening up a very big hole. So it is 3-blade, and that's good, and it is single bevel, and that's good. So 3 blades is better than 2 in terms of an entrance hole, but it's just a little small. I just wish it were bigger. If it was like 1 1/8 inch even, or 1 1/4 inch, wow, that would be awesome. If it was just a little bit bigger to get a little bit bigger entrance and exit hole, I would like it even more. But as it is, man, this would be, I think, a great elk head, great moose head, lower kinetic energy setups. I think it could be great for deer, whatever you're wanting to use it for. For African plains game would be a winner, big hogs, bear, stuff like that. So really cool design, really cool head. Give it a look.